AOC says so many people in this country hate women. Oh, geez. Even the guy at the party who pulls out a guitar is like, way to ruin the fun. Who do you see on the horizon for 2028 in the Democratic primary?
Right now?
Yeah.
Bernie and AOC.
No.
They got the biggest crowds.
That doesn't matter.
It won't sustain itself, but right now they have no leader.
Bill Maher just did what few people in his own party seem willing to do anymore. He turned his cameras on two of the biggest names on the modern American left and openly criticized them on live TV. He didn't hold back for a second.
I mean, there's Democrats and there's Democrat socialists. I mean, those are two distinct parts of the same party. I mean, they are obviously in a coalition together, but people who are Democratic socialists make that distinction. They say, I am a Democratic socialist. That's Bernie Sanders, that's Mondami, that's the mayor of Seattle, a number of them.
And so far, it plays in big cities, but there's no evidence yet that you can take that outside of major metro cores in this country. And I think one of the fascinating tests of the 2028 campaign for president is there going to be somebody that reflects those views that can play beyond a New York, a Seattle, now a Washington, D.C.? Look, Bernie Sanders is 0 for 2 running for president.
Bernie Sanders is 0 for 2 in his presidential runs. Maher's opening point hits because it is hard to ignore. In 2016, Bernie lost the Democratic primary to Hillary Clinton by about 3.7 million votes. In 2020, he dropped out in early April after losing 25 of the first 30 contests to Joe Biden. Critics say this shows that Bernie's ideas have been rejected twice by Democratic voters. Then Maher looks at what happened when Bernie's own state tried to put one of his key policies into practice.
For example, Bernie Sanders, his big thing was always bringing single-payer health care to our country of 340 million. But when liberal, tie-dyed Vermont tried to do it for a population of 626,000, it collapsed like that poor in the Oval Office last week. Bernie, AOC, Mondami are not Democrats. They'll be the first to tell you that. They're Democratic socialists, and that's a very different thing, and I don't think people know that yet.
Vermont tried Bernie's single-payer health care plan, but it collapsed before it could begin. Critics say the numbers explain why. Vermont passed single-payer legislation in 2011 under Democratic Governor Peter Shumlin. By 2014, the plan was estimated to cost $4.3 billion a year, almost as much as the state's entire $4.9 billion budget. Businesses would have faced an 11.5% payroll tax, while individual income taxes could have increased by up to 9.5%. The governor canceled the plan in December 2014. To Maher, the lesson is simple. If Vermont couldn't make it work for 626,000 people, he questions how New York could make it work for 8.4 million.
How much Latinos despise the woke term Latinx. It's about as popular with them as a reboot of Speedy Gonzales. Even the country's oldest Latino civil rights group came out against it, yet AOC keeps defending it, saying gender is fluid, language is fluid. Yes, and Latino voters are fluid. And more of them now than ever are identifying as Republican.
Latinx is one of the most rejected labels in modern American politics. Critics say the numbers are clear. A 2024 Pew Research Center report found that only 4% of Latino adults use the term for themselves, while 75% of those who have heard it say it should not be used. A Ben Dixon and a Mandy poll also found that 30% of Hispanic voters would be less likely to support a politician who used the term. The League of United Latin American Citizens, the oldest Latino civil rights group in the U.S., dropped the word in 2021. In Maher's view, this shows why AOC may be losing support among Latino voters. Many rejected the label, but she didn't listen.
Let's try AOC. Let's see some of her less than finest moments on camera that the Republicans have been bragging they're going to parade all over the airwaves if they get an opportunity to run against her. Let's give us some sound from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, AOC. Play it, please.
Would and should the U.S. actually commit U.S. troops to defend Taiwan if China were to move?
I think that this is such a, I think that this is this is, of course, a very long-standing policy of the United States.
Oh, my Lord. That was at the Munich Security Conference months ago, ladies and gentlemen. That means she flew overseas to tackle a subject she knew she was going over there to tackle, knowing the question that was going to be asked, and that was her response. What am I missing?
At the Munich Security Conference, AOC was asked about foreign policy, and critics say she struggled to give a clear answer on national television. They argue that this is the kind of moment a serious 2028 presidential candidate would not want recorded. She traveled overseas to discuss Taiwan, knowing the question could come up, but still failed to give a strong answer. That is Maher's main point. AOC has built a strong personal brand on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram, but the world stage demands real knowledge and policy depth. Then Maher points to another clip that he says shows how limited that policy knowledge may be.
AOC says so many people in this country hate women. Oh, geez. Even the guy at the party who pulls out a guitar is like, way to ruin the fun. Congressman Jamal Bowman says capitalism is slavery by another name. No, it's not. It's the thing that has given more people more prosperity and hope than any other system, flawed though it surely is. But again, something like the free market is kind of synonymous with America. And if you don't like it, I don't know how you can say you love this country.
So many people in this country hate women. Critics say that statement shows why AOC can turn off swing voters. Writing off an entire country is not a strong political strategy and can hurt a candidate. Her comments, along with Congressman Jamal Bowman comparing capitalism to slavery, push the argument even further. According to World Bank estimates, about 1.3 billion people have escaped extreme poverty over the past 30 years, the largest drop in poverty in history, largely driven by market-based economies.
Okay, how about this one? Workers can migrate free across borders. That seems like was a loser for the Democrats last time. I don't think that's going to be a winner, or is it really even?
What does it even mean?
Open borders.
Open borders.
No, I think we need a secure border, and there's a place you can come in.
Okay,
that's the tell. It's a loser.
Open borders. Critics say this is one of the positions that hurt Democrats in 2024. According to Gallup, support for reducing immigration has reached its highest level in nearly 2 decades. A majority of Americans across major demographic groups now say the border should be secured. Even many Latino voters favor stronger border enforcement. Critics argue this is not a fringe issue, but a major concern, and a party that ignores it risks losing elections it could otherwise win.
But the DSA are radicals about this concept, and radical economic policy is always ineluctably married to radical social policy. Their platform, for example, calls for completely open borders. They're for what Biden was doing, but more. You think you're going to win an election on that? This just seems like more extremism at a time when Americans are begging both parties, please, could just one of you act normal?
The DSA platform calls for completely open borders. Read that again. Critics say this is not just a rumor, but a written position of the Democratic Socialists of America, a group that has placed candidates in Congress, city halls, and state legislatures. Critics argue that the mainstream Democratic Party has not clearly rejected this platform. Tamar, that is the problem. When groups within your coalition support positions many voters reject, and party leaders stay quiet, voters may assume they agree.
When he ran in 2020, Bernie Sanders said he would legalize marijuana on his first day as president, but that the business of selling pot would be awarded first to those who suffered most from. And you know what? I can't argue with that instinct. The has been a horrendous instrument of prejudice for racial minorities, so it seems fair that they jump the line for weed franchises the way Indians did for casinos. But it's also what's holding up Republican support for legalizing weed nationally, which would be good for everybody. And these are the hard, practical choices the Democrats have to weigh. Redress the past, or reach out to the gettable white voter who says, you know what, I'd like a shot at getting in the pot business.
Bernie's 2020 plan. Critics say Maher's point shows the trap the modern left keeps falling into. They argue that every good idea gets filtered through identity politics before it can move forward, and that can divide the coalition. In Maher's view, this is one reason drug policy reform still hasn't happened nationally, even though it has support from both parties. When a simple policy becomes a moral battle, people stop working together.
Chuck Schumer has been in elected office for 50 years. 1974, he was first elected. 50 years. AOC will absolutely kick in a primary. She is the leader of the Democratic Party in this moment, and will continue to be, I think, the biggest driver of where the party goes from a governmental policy standpoint. And that drives many of my colleagues crazy. But the fact is, she has tapped into the base of support within the Democratic Party, and you see the juxtaposition between her and Chuck Schumer.
Mike Lawler said it openly. AOC could beat Chuck Schumer in a primary. Critics say this showed how the Democratic Party's power balance may be changing. Schumer has been in elected office for more than 5 decades and has served as Senate Democratic leader since 2017. Now, a progressive congresswoman is being discussed as a possible threat to his political future. Tamar, this reflects a bigger problem for the Democratic Party. The old leadership may struggle to connect with the activist wing and younger voters.
Who do you see on the horizon for 2028 in the Democratic primary?
Right now?
Yeah.
Bernie and AOC.
No.
They got the biggest crowds.
That doesn't matter.
It won't sustain itself,
you know,
but right now they have no leader. Okay?
You know?
But this is the thing the Republican Party has to understand too. Both parties lost in the last election. Trump won, okay? And I don't know if that's going to transfer. We should have won 4 more seats in the Senate. If you looked at the last 70 races for the Senate, 69 and follow exactly the
I think it's Moore versus Youngkin. That's where I see it.
Youngkin would be.
Youngkin
it's going to go back to
MAGA adjacent, and then Vance and Jr. will fight it out for that crowd.
AOC and Bernie, and who's at the top of the ticket?
They're going to lead right now.
Who's at the top of that ticket, Kevin? Because if it's not Bernie, he's going to be vice president and then wait his turn?
No, it would be. Bernie's been running each time. I'm just saying who's in the lead right now.
Bernie and AOC are leading the 2028 Democratic field. Critics say Kevin McCarthy isn't making a prediction just for political points. He is looking at rally sizes, small dollar fundraising, and podcast reach. The same things many strategists watch. Right now, the top names on that list come from the party's progressive wing. Maher's response is important. Crowds don't win primaries. But if no other strong candidates step forward, that may be what the party has to work with. That could be the bigger Democratic problem for 2028. There is no clear moderate leader, only Bernie and AOC.
What should have happened after that is one of the adults on stage should have told their young, loyal followers, this is not a symbol of freedom. This is. If the thought leaders in the Democratic Party keep encouraging and not rebuking the idea that America is cringe and the people who run Gaza are great, the Democrats are doomed. Alyssa Slotkin's right. Liberals are weak and woke, especially the white ones, and they indulge all sorts of nonsense from their kids, a pattern that then continues on in the Democratic Party. Last election, it was all the gender stuff, the insistence that men can have babies and such.
A Palestinian flag was draped over an American flag at a Bernie and AOC rally on American soil. Critics say this image may have pushed away many moderate voters. Regardless of their views on foreign policy, some working Americans may not want to see the American flag covered at a political rally. Critics also point out that nobody on stage appeared to stop it. To Maher, this fits the pattern he has warned about for years. When a political movement seems more focused on another country than the country it wants to lead, voters may walk away.
Let's start with AOC. We know she's got a grassroots following and she's young, but we also know she has a socialist label. Defund era positions, polarizing, no executive experience, and foreign policy scrutiny. We know that.
Socialist label, defund, positions, polarizing views, no executive experience, and questions about foreign policy. Critics say these are the exact reasons Stephen A. Smith believes his party's rising star could struggle in a general election. Maher argues that if AOC runs for president, these points could become major campaign ads against her, leaving the party with little defense. He then points to election data to support his argument.
Very clear. One wing is saying don't ever use the word socialist again, and one is saying,
I am a democratic socialist.
Clear, huh? So how do we decide who's right? Well, it turns out we don't really have to flip a coin. We have the evidence. In 2024, 13 Democrats won. In districts, Trump also won. All moderates. This isn't rocket science. All the left-leaning think tanks have done autopsies on 2024, and they all came up with the same message: move to the center. Even the New York Times, which did so much to promote woke politics, now says the partisans are wrong. Moving to the center is the way to win. And Democrats should recognize the party moved too far left on social issues after Obama left office. Gosh, if only someone had been saying that all along. But you know, welcome home.
13 Democrats won districts that also voted for the other side in 2024. Critics point out that every one of them was a moderate. Not one was a democratic socialist, and none ran on Medicare for all or open borders. They say this is the kind of data Democratic strategists should study closely. Post-election reviews from several left-leaning groups, including one from the New York Times, found a similar message: move toward the center, reject extreme positions, and stop chasing the loudest voices online. To Maher, this is the truth the party has ignored for years, and now the numbers are hard to dismiss.
Right? I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to explain.
I do.
How?
I don't tell them they're dumb. They're not dumb. They're ignorant. There's a difference. There's a difference. To call someone stupid, yes, that's wrong. You're just stupid. Ignorant just means you don't know something. We are all ignorant of almost everything. There's practically infinite things in this world you could know about. I don't know about 99.99999% of them.
But calling them ignorant would be a terrible electoral strategy.
It's electoral, yes.
Electoral, yeah, you know what I meant.
Electorally, yes. That would be a terrible strategy. But it is the truth. They are ignorant.
Is a bad electoral strategy right now.
And
there's
also
nowhere in the world where the far left is winning. The far right's winning, centrists are winning, but the far left isn't winning anywhere.
The ignorance is not their fault because they let them out of school that way. The ignorance is the part of the people, the adults and the educators who don't do their job anymore. And they let you out of school. They will sign that diploma and you don't know.
The far left isn't winning everywhere in the world, and critics say Maher believes that proves his point. In Argentina, voters elected Javier Milei, a strong free market supporter. Italy elected Giorgia Meloni, while the Netherlands chose Geert Wilders. Across several European countries, Critics say voters have been moving away from far-left politics. Even in Latin America, where socialism has been tried many times, voters have often rejected it. To Maher, this shows that Bernie and AOC may not be the future, but part of an ideology many voters are moving away from. He believes the Democratic Party needs to pay attention before the next election. Now, what do you think? Can AOC and Bernie really win a national election in 2028? Is the Democratic Party ready to move away from the far left, or will it stay on the same path? Share your thoughts in the comments. Hit like if you think Maher made a strong point, and subscribe for more.